One. All right, what is going on, my friends, my fam? I am here with the legendary mental marketer, aka Mr. Mike, and this guy's a legend. This guy actually was really, really high up in the corporate world in the insurance industry, Fortune 100 company leadership role, but he decided to go all in with his own business, and within his first year, he hit six figures, building funnels, getting leads for his clients every single day, and in his agency, he's absolutely crushing it. So I'm honored and lucky to have him on the podcast today, where he's going to be sharing some of the secrets that have worked for him. But don't take my word for it, man. I'd love to get an intro from you. So Mike, let us know a little bit more about you, man.
Well, thanks for that intro, Mounir. Wow, it's so great to talk with you today. I appreciate you having me on your podcast. And just a little about me. I grew up in the inner city suburbs, in a small suburb outside of the city of Los Angeles. We never had much growing up. And as a youngster, I never saw that as my future. So I was able to have family around me that protected me, even though I was in such, if you know the city I lived in, probably you're there in California. And I lived in a suburb outside of Los Angeles called Compton, California. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I'm familiar. I actually live very close to there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that city is a lot of times is on the nation's list of highest crime. But I was fortunate enough to have people surrounding me that cared for me. So I got out of that situation, immediately joined the military, and I did a 4-year terms in the U.S. Army. Got out of the Army and decided to go to college and make my home in Texas. And that's where I live now, in Texas. And I went to college, and I was doing everything that I felt I needed to do and everything I needed to be to climb that corporate ladder. And that's where I ended up about a year ago. I ended up in a very, very, very good position with a Fortune 100 company that's consistently on the Forbes list of top 100 companies to work for, and actually in the top 10. And I had to look at myself and say that I was successful, but it just wasn't what my purpose was in life. So I left that corporate position, and I had a marketing degree, and I knew marketing. And when I think about it, I was always marketing. Even in my insurance job, I was just using those skills, those people skills, to influence and persuade and to lead. And I decided that I wanted to take those skills and transfer those skills into my own business. And that's when I started that digital marketing agency, The Mental Marketer. It's been an interesting ride, wonderful the entire way. I've been learning and growing at the same time. And that's where I am today. I've got majority of my clients are coaching clients and course creators. We focus on building funnels for them and entire marketing campaigns, entire systems, from the ad creation to the ad structures. We're doing landing pages as well as webinar pages, and then we're also doing some follow-up email sequences. And pretty soon here, since last year was a big year where there weren't very many live events, we'll be doing some live event funnels here. As a matter of fact, we're working on a couple right now. And yes, and we're also working on some info products, courses, and I just picked up a client this past weekend that wants me to work with them on a physical product. I don't like physical products, but he has a barbecue sauce that's it's irresistible. And I think I was
that must be a Texas local. No, I'm kidding.
I was in New Orleans this past weekend.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, some of my roommates were actually just there last week, so that's super cool. Yeah, that's I'm excited to dig into this, man, because you've done so much for your clients, both on the fulfillment and the acquisition side, and I think that's just massive value for any agency owner who wants to learn. Really, anybody who does any kind of marketing, which in modern business you have to be really good at marketing in order to be successful. So I'm excited to dive into some of your client acquisition strategies. You've shared some really interesting methodologies with me today, as well as some of your fulfillment strategies, which are just useful on the marketing side for really anybody who gets a chance to watch this. So let's dive into it, man. I guess, do you want to talk about fulfillment or acquisition first?
We can talk about acquisition first.
Perfect.
Acquisition.
Cool, man. So what's your secret, man? How'd you fill your pipeline and hit 5-figure months within a year?
Well, my biggest client acquisition strategy is something that I do every day, and it's a daily task that I do every day to continue to bring in top of funnel leads. Now, all leads that come in don't actually end up being clients, but I continue to fill that pipeline of warm leads. So how I have been able to consistently fill my pipeline with warm leads is from publishing content. Publishing content. I publish content in video form. I publish content in written form, and I go out and I communicate with people, and I've been publishing small ebooks, small PDFs, and all of these PDFs are designed to help and be very informative to my clients in a problem that they're trying to solve. So, for example, a perfect example is that business owners are always wanting more leads. They're always wanting more leads to come into their business. I've published probably 5 or 6, maybe 47-page PDFs, about 47-page PDFs that will assist business owners in attaining leads. And there's some of the strategies that I use to gain those leads also. So I give out some of my secrets and some of those PDFs. Reluctantly, but I do give out those secrets.
I like that. It's yes. The value in advance, the results in advance principle, which I think is it's very generous, yet it does such a great job of establishing that authority. So that's awesome. I love that.
Yes. And yeah, I found it to be very effective. And I'm in the process of actually publishing an Kindle, an ebook. And then I'm going to be in the process of promoting it. And when you promote it, then people will actually be pre-frame them by the content and tell them how they can get in touch with me. It's been a very, very, very effective strategy.
That's really good. Yeah, I really like that a lot. And I actually do something similar within fitness. Like I have a couple, free PDF resources designed to get people results in advance and really just educate them on what they can do to take charge of their schedule right away, to be able to structure things, to be able to execute on those priorities and create a flow, a rhythm that actually works symbiotically with their life. Or, how to increase metabolism, how to train in a time efficient way, how to fix posture. That's a huge one, especially for us online entrepreneurs. We're in front of the computer all day. So just little like guides on the problems that I solve. That's been a similar and fruitful strategy for me. So I love the fact you're doing that in the marketing space, because there's not a lot of marketers who are doing that. Like a lot of marketers are just kind of, because as a coach myself, I have marketers hitting me up almost every day, like, adding me on Friends, and it's, I help course creators or coaches get 7 figures, blah, blah, but very few of them are giving me like marketing pieces in advance or, results in advance, which I think is probably a big part of your success, because I think it builds that know, like, and trust factor very quickly, because you're giving them, a ton of value up front. So I love that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I love I love helping. I have a helping spirit, and when I'm able to help, they gain that like and trust factor, and then I also have gained authority because I have really put my 100% resources into diving deep into strategy. I'll tell you, I was working with a client the other day, and they were spending money on a software to for social proof. And social proof it can increase your conversion rates, especially on your order pages, when people see that they are previous purchases going on, and when you see that ticker come on, and they didn't know that inside of the software was built the exact same social proof software, and they were spending $200 a month for this additional software. But I was able to let them know that, hey, this is all you have to do. Hit this button and you'll get the same social proof. Yes, and that's an advantage of really getting into the software and knowing it inside and out. Especially, most people, a lot of coaches and course creators, they don't want to be marketers. They want to do what they're good at, and that's being a coach. And the course creators want to do what they're good at, and that's creating courses and teaching people. And I'm able to come in and we can work as a team, and it's a win-win situation.
That's powerful. See, the mark of a good marketer is when you just talk about what you love doing with passion and it makes people interested. Like, I'm going to have to ask you about that afterwards because, I'm a coach myself, so I got to learn a little bit of this stuff too. But that's awesome. I love that. And actually, I wanted to ask you, so you have this really powerful conversion strategy where you give them the ebooks that you've written. How do you typically find your leads? Because I know you mentioned you're able to acquire clients without really doing any cold calls. How are you usually filling that top of funnel? Like, where are you finding these people and getting their attention?
Oh, that's a great question, Mounir. Wow, you're quite a great interviewer. I am a naturally just a very open person, and I make friends easily. I'll say that I make friends easily, and I'll say that because I'm speaking it into existence. But
it's true though. I've seen it. Like, even how we became friends. Like, I just saw your page. You had good energy, and we just commented on each other's stuff, and we were able to build a friendship. So that's good.
Yes. And I'm very open. And my number one, if I had a chart showing the number one location for my lead generation, number one would be Facebook. And it's a social media channel that is powerful, and I've been using some strategies to get attention. So getting attention and answering questions in those groups where the ideal person that I would love to work with is hanging out. So it is called an organic strategy. And I actually wrote about this strategy in one of my PDFs that I have inside the group. But it is a strategy where you answer questions inside of groups, and you give a very well thought out answer that's super helpful to the person that's asking the question, and also to anyone else that might be reading it. So if you're inside of a group that has, we'll say 100,000 in the group, then your answer is getting exposure, and you're being exposed to a huge audience. And lots of times those audience members will see your answer, and the first thing they do is they click on your profile, and they they want to see who is this person. They'll take a look at your profile. And that's where I have branded myself on my personal profile, which lets them know what I do. And from there, they can raise their hand and say, I'm really like this guy. I really dig this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He gave a very great answer. I wouldn't mind friending him. And then they'll hit the friend request, and then I will vet them out. I will screen them, because that process can bring in a little bit of it could bring in quite a variety of people on your friends list. But after vetting, when we become friends, then it's just a matter of getting content in front of them and them seeing the content that's coming on my personal profile, and reaching out to them and having a conversation, and bringing them in closer to my warm audience, which is my group. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And your group's super valuable. We'll be attaching a link to it
below. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sorry, I think I had a little lag there. Sorry about that. So yeah, and your group's super valuable, man. We'll attach a link to it below for anybody who's interested in checking it out, because it's got a lot of really good value in there. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I really like that strategy, because you're building like that intimacy and value and authority with that person right up front, which is kind of just I like that principle behind your whole strategy, where it's all about giving that value, because that value is always going to be reciprocated in the way that they see you as an authority already. It also gives you the opportunity to pick and choose, because these people are coming to you. It's very inbound as a result of you just sharing value. In fact, it's kind of interesting. I need to get back on the Facebook group, post as well, because that was actually, I brought in my first, 4-figure client back when I was first starting out. So it's certainly an excellent strategy. So I love that. And I guess you don't have to tell us which groups you typically do your prospecting in, but what would you advise to somebody who's just getting started in, online business, or even somebody who's just looking to up-level their lead generation? What would you recommend when somebody's looking for a Facebook group to start posting value content in?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Mounir. It's interesting. I'll tell you that whenever I decide what content to write, it's always because I've listened to someone in my group. So and I love it because listening gets me to hear. If one person asks a question, then I know there may be 40 or 50 others that have that same question. And your question is a question that I was asked. So it's a great question. And so I published a piece of content, and it talked about the strategy of finding your ideal customer, knowing your ideal customer, and knowing where your ideal customer is hanging out. We'll say hanging out. And Facebook has promoted its groups so that you can find almost any group. I believe there was a commercial maybe half a year ago, and I actually loved it. And it was when Facebook had a commercial on television about the National Kazoo Association. So when you pre-internet, pre-social media, you may have had a difficult time finding other people that played the kazoo. Without some in-depth research, you may not have been able to find them. But Facebook groups have made it so that you can find your ideal person pretty much through a search. And when you ask me, okay, what groups? And it really depends on who your ideal client is. Now, for me, I'll tell you that my ideal client, and I know my ideal client. So what they do love, and this is a little insider tip, but they love motivation. They love they're already into personal development. They're already into being motivated. They're into being inspired. So I tend to look for those groups. And what I've done is I look for those groups, and I actually made a list of 100 of those groups. And I made a list of 100 of those groups, and I actually put this in a PDF, and I made it available to the people in my group as well. The combined audience of those 100 groups is 8 million people. So I made the list. I said, you're able to get your message in front of 8 million people with this list. But that's what people want. They want to get their message in front of a lot of people. So that's how I develop content. I get them something that they really, really want. And in turn, I gain a contact from it. And I also join those groups as well. So I do put my message in front of those groups as well. And that's one subject of the groups that I love. So when I look for motivation, I look for Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, just motivational quotes. So there's in that motivational and personal development area, you have Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. So you've got a few bigger figures to choose from to get in front of their audience. Is that too much?
No, that's really smart. I like that a lot. It's interesting because that's counterintuitive. A lot of people wouldn't think, okay, if my ideal client is a coach or a course creator, they would be into motivational content. But you're looking for those people who are into personal development, who you're going to resonate with, who are obviously in the business that you can get them results for. So I like that a lot. And also, that was another good meta example of how marketing isn't just something you do, it's something that you are. Because as you were speaking about that PDF, I'm like, all right, I need to get my hands on that. So, the process.
Hey, Mounir, I'm a marketer.
I see that. I could tell. That's awesome, man. I love it. So once you get these people in, obviously you do a great job with getting that value up front, knowing where to find them, connecting with them, bringing them in. Now on the fulfillment side of things, or was there anything else that you wanted to touch on in acquisition, or do you want to dive into the actual funnel building aspect?
Well, there's the what I call the top of funnel communication. And the top of funnel communication is the attention that brings them into your warm communication, which is your warm market. And your warm market is your education, and you're establishing authority. And those are my communications in the group, and also my communication through email or my communication through Messenger. Those are my warm communications that I'm going to continue to increase interest and desire. And those are my objectives in my middle of funnel communication. I put that right here. Yeah. So
I like how I can see the geography of your funnel as well as you're showing us.
Yes, that's it. The way it comes down from top of funnel, you have the most, then you have your middle of funnel, and then we're coming down to the bottom. So funnel building, to me, so many people think that funnel building is just an online thing, but funnels have been around for years. The funnels are been pre-internet. I made a post in my group a few months ago, probably, and I said that funnels are older than the internet, and I showed one of what I think is probably one of the oldest and the first when it comes to online funnels, and it was by AOL. Do you remember AOL?
I do. It is right at the beginning of my time.
But do you remember those CDs? Those CDs right at they would send those out. They would send those out. That was a lead magnet.
Mm.
That was a lead magnet, and they would give you 10,000 free hours, 10,000 free hours, 20,000 free hours to get you to try the service. And then once you tried the service, they would get you on a monthly plan. And I have an image of one of their pages, and it shows what they were offering, and it's just so funny to look back and see what they were offering. It was like the new audio player. It said the new chat rooms.
Mm.
so so they had funnels at the beginning of the internet, and a lot of people will associate funnels with a brand or a software tool that's out there today, but these are just tools. These are just tools. There are a lot of other tools that we can use to communicate throughout the stages of our funnels.
Mm.
Yes.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, it's crazy to think that,
Yeah.
even back in the day, I mean, really anything where you're bringing in a bunch of people, showing them something, like even if you think about, like, the old school markets back in like the medieval ages, right? You get all this
Mhm.
traffic through, and then so that was kind of like the big funnel, the big market. And then if you had to stand at the market, whether you paid the owner of the market or wherever it may be, or even like, retail stores in modern days, but your store was kind of like your funnel where your salespeople could then assist with generating desire. And it's funny because the videos in a funnel, as many thought leaders in the space, including I'm sure yourself, say is it's kind of like each video that you've recorded in your funnel is like one salesperson giving the perfect pitch each time to ascend the individual to the next stage. So, and I know we're going to get into the communication within the funnel too. I know that's one of your topics of expertise too, but it's kind of cool to see how, like, even in the medieval ages, or like way back in the day in the market days, people were still, it was marketing, started in the markets back in the day. So it's kind of cool to see the parallels there.
Yes. Uh, Same foundational concepts, different tools. The
Mm.
tools have evolved, and the tools are making it easier. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. So so
Yeah.
so let's let's go through some of those, kind of, I guess, how you ascend people through these funnels, because you've got your own client acquisition funnel, but then when you're getting clients for your clients, I guess what are some of like the communication strategies or just strategies overall that you use inside the funnel to be able to produce really good results?
Some of the strategies that I'll use are I love to use real life parallels. So the upsell is one of the biggest opportunities that we have to increase cart value. So there are two ways to make more money. You can either get more customers or make more money from your existing customers. So to get more customers, it's much more expensive. You've got costs to bring them in, communicate. But when you can make more money from your existing customers, you are increasing your profit at the lowest cost possible. And how do you increase the average cart value? By giving them additional items that they would benefit from in addition to your core item. And I'll tell you something that I have found, another insider tip. The the easiest product to produce that will increase the perceived value of your core product are info products. Do you understand info
Yes.
products?
So like
Yes.
a course would be an example of an info product.
A course, a recipe booklet, a 15 recipes for a rice cooker when you are if you were selling a rice cooker. If you are in fashion and you have a fashion guide, the most summer fashion guide, how to wear a tie, and it's inexpensive to create and it's easy to deliver. When I say easy to deliver, we're talking delivery doesn't it doesn't take you actually licking a stamp or packing something in a bag or a box with bubble wrap. It's a delivery by an email with a link. That's incredible to me. that you can increase the perceived value of an item with a simple creation of an info product. So those are some of the strategies that I use. It's really to get the most out of every customer that comes inside of your funnel. So for every click that you get inside that funnel, you want to you would like to convert them, but if you don't convert them, then you want to at least get in contact to keep in touch with them for future communication.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like, you've got that front end product that you're selling, and obviously you want to probably see at least a little bit of profit on that, but really where the profit is made is in the upsell, where you're providing something that they would value that doesn't cost a lot to fulfill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then even if they don't take the upsell, you're still getting their contact, and I'm sure that you have communications you build out past that point that then eventually lead to an upsell of some sort or introduce them to a new product.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Very cool. So that, and I'm sure that's probably one of the biggest tools for improving, return on ad spend, because you've just got this whole system built in the background, a series of funnels that are funneling these people further along, almost like a conveyor belt. And as people go down this list and you scale this funnel up, the conversions just get better and better.
Yes. They say that the time to strike, the time to strike is when the iron is hot. And there's no better opportunity to make a sale than when someone has already just bought from you. And that's from Dan Kennedy said that. I can't take credit for that.
Yeah, that's powerful.
I can't take credit for that. But the time to strike is when the iron is hot, and the iron is the hottest right after they've already made a purchase. And there are some very good strategies that can be used to get people to continue buying after they bought one. And there's some psychological triggers that can be used that will increase your chances.
Wow. Are some of those strategies inside of your Facebook group? Do you share that with your group members?
I do, if you catch them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think anybody who's been watching this far definitely needs to join your group so they can, look through that stuff, because those gems are out there. I'm not going to ask you to say I'm on this, because they need to go into your group and actually find it themselves. But one thing I do want to ask you about is so one thing I find really interesting, because especially when you work with course creators, right? That's a very powerful market, because courses fit into the category of what you're talking about, where it costs very little to fulfill, because you just you create it once. You might refilm the modules occasionally or hire a camera crew, whatever it may be. But end of the day, it's an info product, so you don't have to worry about like with a rice cooker, the costs of each piece of the rice cooker, shipping, all that stuff, right? So
yes.
When you're vetting out clients, I'd imagine that there's probably a couple things that you look into to make sure that you can get them results. Like, number one, what's their industry? Number two, do they have a USP that's going to stand out in that industry, et cetera? And it's interesting because I know that, like, you could know everything about marketing, but if the offer that you're trying to market isn't, a good offer, all the tactics in the world aren't going to help. So what are some of the things that you do when you vet out coaches or course creators to make sure that their USP is something that, that has the right foundations to build a great marketing campaign?
Oh man, you've got great questions. You've got great questions. And I'd say that I have a process. Once someone has agreed to become a client, I have a process, and the process begins with market research. It begins with market research, and we don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So I have access to several resources to conduct some in-depth uh, market research. And we look to see what is already selling out there and what are the most successful campaigns doing. One of my favorite persons to model is Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, especially for coaches. And Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi had a super mega launch, just over a year ago. And I think the launch netted, it's unbelievable numbers. I think they did over 2 million from a webinar. They were unbelievable numbers. But I've got resources that have the entire strategy, and the entire strategy, from the pages they used to the language they use, the headlines on the page, the images that they used on their pages, how often they communicated with their audience, what was the time frame. So that's some very helpful information, not to copy, but to model and to know what's working. I'll tell you what they gave as a lead magnet. They gave an interview. They did an interview that they had never released, where Dean Graziosi had interviewed Tony Robbins, and they gave this interview out, and the people that signed up to watch the interview got on the list for the live. They had a 3-day seminar, the virtual seminar, so they got on that list. And from that sequence, they counted on I think over, oh my gosh, if I remember, 4 to 5,000 affiliates that they brought in at least. So you may not be able to compete with them at their level, but you can certainly learn from the campaigns that they run. And one thing you do know is that the campaigns that they've run were very effective. So your chances of being effective go up 10-fold.
That's
100-fold. So I am the nerd like that. So I'm in there looking at all of these things, and that's where I come in, and we have our process where we can look at some successful campaigns, and we can look at some successful businesses. We can look at their ads. We can look at, where their traffic is coming from. We can look at all those things to develop a campaign that is very likely to be successful.
That's very interesting. I like that a lot, because I've definitely attempted to launch my own courses in the past, and it was interesting because in my market, the fitness market, it's very competitive, where you could have a good funnel, but if you sound like everybody else, it's hard to obviously stand out and make people want to buy. So it's been interesting because as I test different, unique selling propositions with just organic marketing, it gives me a solid idea of, where to take things, but also on just the level of not reinventing the wheel. I think it's so important to look at what's already selling, like you said, and to be able to piggyback on that as opposed to trying to completely go against the grain. I mean, it's interesting. It's almost like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you got to find what's selling and then find a way to reiterate on that and make it sound even better and more unique to where people who are buying that thing already are like, oh, here's like the latest and greatest version of that. Let me buy it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Go in the same direction as the traffic. Go in the same direction as the flowing traffic. And as they say, you grab onto that boat. If that train is going, you want to hook onto it. Hook onto it. Yes. And there are a lot of places out there to look for that information. And as far as being unique, you bring yourself, you bring your unique personality, you bring your unique talents, you bring your unique styles. You're not the other person. You are you, and 100% you. And when you bring yourself to the table, then you can make yourself stand out. Or if there are some other rhetorical ways that you can stand out also. Do you know what I mean by rhetorical?
Not entirely. What do you mean?
Okay, so I don't necessarily encourage being a communicator that is looking to go against the grain. So just an example, to be a shock marketer, where to just look in the camera and say, what you've been told has been wrong all along. Do you know?
Yes.
And that's, some people do use those tactics. What you've been told all along is wrong. You don't need to eat 3 meals a day. You can eat 1 meal a day.
Right.
But then, and those are kind of going against, but you do stand out that way. And
yes.
It might be true. It might be true.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like if you can, actually, this gives me an interesting idea, like within fitness, at least, if you know the result that's currently selling, right? Because, a lot of times in a coaching offer, they're buying a transformation. Like, for instance, I'll use the example of one of the funnels that's performing the best in the fitness industry right now is Kinobody. So Kinobody, Greg O'Gallagher, I'm not sure. Are you familiar with him?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, exactly. So he's pretty famous. So so he has this program, and the result that he embodies himself and with his client transformations is like, a certain physique, like the movie star look, really lean abs, good proportions, everything. So that's the result that's selling. And there's a degree of a little bit of cult marketing in his case, because he has a bit of a cult-like following for the last 10 years of doing YouTube. But certainly I'm sure he's converting on cold traffic as well, like even people who haven't heard of him, because he's almost got that certainty from like the cult market level marketing, but also he embodies the exact result that guys in their 20s and 30s want, which is, that particular physique. And the way he's able to market it and the way he's able to build it out is like, hey, this builds personal brand power if you're if you're a business owner, or this builds, attraction if you're a single guy, right? He's able to attach so many different payoffs in other areas of life to that result. And so as a result, that result sells, and he has a proprietary method that he uses to achieve that result. And actually, I happen to disagree with some of his stuff, and I happen to agree with other parts of his stuff. So like part of my whole thing is I'm all about increasing metabolism, and I've actually found that fasting has actually slows a lot of people's metabolism down, versus for him, intermittent fasting is one of the essential vehicles on the results side of things for his clients. So for instance, what I could potentially do is market to his list or people who are following him and say, here is a better way to attain a movie star physique. and all the other benefits that, and especially if these people are already warm in his audience, he's already done the work for me of showing them why they want a movie star physique. So I just need to come in and say, hey, here's a better way of doing so. If you've tried the fasting thing, it didn't work for you. You've tried this method of training, but it didn't work for you. Here's a better way to improve your posture, get your technique on point, get your mind muscle connection on point, get your metabolism on point. Sorry, I'm kind of just riffing here because you just gave me a pretty good epiphany right there.
Yes, it sounds as if you were. It sounds as if you were already doing it.
Yeah, straight up. Well, here's the thing. Here's how I know that you're not just a good marketer, but you're good at fulfillment. Is the ideas you've shared with me have given me an epiphany. So yeah, like that would be a way of kind of going where the traffic's already going, but then also standing out a bit and being able to then say, here's a better way, but don't take my word for it. Instead of charging you thousands like I charge my private clients, here's a course for $47 so you can actually learn and test it for yourself. And then boom, they come in, and then I could upsell them to like a meal plan for like $250, and then upsell them to a coaching call, and coaching call then becomes a triage call for a sales call. So you got me thinking of some funnels right now, man. That's how I know that you're good people to network with, because you're teaching me things just by talking.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. The ideas would just run out of me all day long.
Dude, I love that, man. Well, hopefully we can have more of these conversations, man. I definitely learned a lot on this, and I hope that anybody who gets a chance to watch this podcast learns a lot too. And, I think we've gotten a lot of really good bits that we can even use as bite-sized content for this. So I really appreciate you being on, man. We're coming up on the end of the hour here, and I want to be respectful of your time. But were there any other, closing thoughts or anything else that you want to talk about before we sign off today?
Well, closing thoughts. I would say that if anyone is interested in getting into the, I think you have agency owners. I would encourage publishing. And I would also encourage, as I witnessed one of my coaches purchase these congratulatory plaques that he loves to get for companies, and they're just a token of appreciation for them. But what he does with these plaques is he always has his company logo in the top right corner. And I said, that's very ingenious. And he says, it's done on purpose. He says that I want to buy a real estate, a piece of land on their desk. And that's what he does. He says, I want to buy a piece of land on their desk. Now, that's equivalent to the digital real estate that we have the ability to create today. We have the ability to put a little piece of us on so many different desks. And when you give someone a piece or a PDF that's helpful to them, whenever they go to open that content, whether it's a week down the line, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, they may not open it up right away, but if they do go back to that piece of content, then it's always tied back to you. Digital real estate, content, publishing, I believe we are in a Renaissance age. And I would highly encourage it. Get your digital real estate in front of as many people as possible. And the interesting thing that happens is when one person sees your name, then another person sees your name goes from who the hell is this guy to I've heard of this guy to I do business with this guy. And that's when you've you've taken them through all stages of your funnel. And if you want to, I've put together a, this is the point where a lot of people will tell you, okay, go visit my website at blah, blah, blah.com. But I'd like to take it and give you an action step to take. And that action step is you can take your phone, get your phone out, open up your mail program, just go straight to Gmail. And let's see.
Do mine too.
Yeah, straight to Gmail. And just hit the compose button and send this email to Mark, that's M-A-R-K, at thementalmarketer.com. Mark at thementalmarketer.com. In the subject line, write Sales Funnel Academy. That's it. Hit send. You'll get an email back immediately with a free scholarship to my 8-day Sales Funnel Academy. And you'll get an email back immediately with a scholarship to my 8-day Sales Funnel Academy. Learn about sales funnels, and if there's anything that I can ever do to help you out, just reach out to me.
Oh, 100%.
That's my sales pitch.
It's instant. It's instant. It already sent to me. See that? There it is right there. He wasn't kidding when he said instant. Look at that. That's a powerful automation, man. I love that. I love it. Awesome. Well, dude, it's been awesome getting some insights into how you think, already just from seeing how you think about the whole funnel building process and, just everything. It's gotten me really thinking about certain things, as you saw. And even the branding piece, like what you said at the end, where it's like, you have a piece of real estate on their desktop, whenever they open that, it's building that more of that know, like, and trust factor. And especially in today's day and age where people have been burned by previous people they've worked with, people have seen all kinds of marketing for over a decade, to be able to stand out and build that trust and that intimacy and, that value up front, I think is so powerful as you win that person's business, or at least win the referral, whatever it may be, for somebody who they know who you might be able to help. So really, really powerful stuff, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you being on, and definitely look forward to more conversations in the future, man. And we'll attach all of his social media below so you guys can access. Don't forget to send that email. And yeah, man, thank you again. It's been an honor.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Coach Mounir. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, man. All right, man. I'll see you soon.
Okay.